Everyone, this is Dr. Rajiv Sikroria. You are welcomed at my channel Dr. Rajiv Sikroria Talks. Today we will discuss principles of economics. It's the unit 1 and the objectives for the sessions are. So the objectives are definitions of economics. We will study the different types of economics. Then second one is the nature and scope of economics. Then we will also discuss the relationship with other subjects. Then the next objective will be the fundamental tools of economics. In this we will deal with opportunity cost principle. We will study incremental cost principle, principle of time perspective, discounting principle and equimarginal principle. First of all, I am discussing the conceptual background of the subject. Previously, this subject was the dichotomy and it was known as the politico-economy. So, during the time of Adam Smith, this has been changed and politics and economics was separated. So, in the definitions, first definition comes with wealth definition, then the welfare definition is there. So, in total we will study 4 types of definition. So first one is the wealth definition. Actually this definition was propounded by Adam Smith in his book An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of Wealth of Nations. What actually he said the wealth acquisition is very important, and round the globe all the countries of western world, they try to acquire the wealth and they have moved to the different developing countries and they have made their colonies. So this was the base of colonization, and the people, different emperors and empress went to the developing states and developing countries, and they have made their colonies, and India was one of the victims. So the France, Germany, Italy and Britain came in India at different time, and they have made their colony because of this definition. So wealth definition is all about to acquire the wealth. It does not tell you how. It tells you how to acquire the wealth. So the people followed this definition, and for the sake of acquisition of wealth, the people moved to the different countries, and the countries also were invaded. Now the second definition came into existence. It is all about the welfare definition, and it is advanced definition than the wealth definition. It says you that it is the study of mankind in social action. So actually what we do with the wealth, the people who has become the rich, they try to make the welfare activities, and the people get benefited by all those schemes and welfare activities of the rich people. So it is all about for the mankind in social action. It tells you how the man works in the society and what is the basic purpose of wealth in the society. In the row, next definition comes which has been propounded by Robbins, and it is the definition related to means and end definition. So this definition tells you that we are having the limited resources and our wants are unlimited. So what we do, actually we have to maintain the equation between the scarce resources and unlimited ends, that is the unlimited wants. So actually the human beings are having unlimited wants. They want to do each and everything with the limited resources. They want to develop the country, they want to develop themselves. So here we have to see how the resources can be utilized in an optimal way. Then the next definition comes into the picture, which is the growth related definition, and this definition was propounded by Samuelson, and it says economics is the science of growth and development. It is all about the growth and development with and without resources, or with or without resources. It is very important to underline and understand that the people and the countries do develop, but how? So the answer lies in this definition. It says that we need to grow up, we need to develop our resources, and we have to develop ourselves. It hardly matters do we have resources. If we don't have the resources, we need to buy, we need to purchase, or we need to borrow from the other people. So now we will be moving to different sets of the definition in the details. So in the row, first definition comes, which is the wealth related definition, which I have told you. It was propounded by Adam Smith and what it says actually. So the nature of the definition will be discussed here. So first point says you that the economic studies activities of man results in production, consumption and exchange of wealth. It is all about the production of the things, production of the goods and services, then consumption of the goods and services which have been produced by the country and firms and industry, and thereafter exchange means the exchange of the product willingly, voluntarily between the seller and the buyer. So the willingness must be there. So what has been earned with the people, whatever they have earned, that has to be consumed as well as it should be exchanged between the people. Then we come to the next one. The creation and expansion of the nation's wealth is a core matter of the economics. This I have told in previous part that with this definition the people tried to move to the different countries, and the countries invaded the developing countries and the poor countries. They tried to acquire the wealth of the different nations and made colonies and earned a lot of the wealth, taken a lot of the wealth, moved to the their own country. Then it aims to maximize and increase wealth and ignoring all other implications and considerations. See what it says, that the human being is important, but this definition ignores it. It says that human beings are economic entity only, but other considerations are that the human is emotional one, it's social being. So it has, this definition has ignored this important implication, and what all it considers that human is all about the economic and the productive entity. If the person is not productive, if the person is not economic, then it is having no significance in the society. So this is all about the wealth definition, point 3. Then move to the fourth point, which says gives due importance to economic man guided by only monetary benefits, which I have told you that human being is only considered as monetary earning person or money earning person, which is all about the monetary benefits. And we have to understand that it is not only the economic entity. Human being is all about the combination of different sets of emotions, different sets of welfare activities, different sets of other motives too. So monetary benefits according to this definition was not very good point, but it was the key point of this definition. Then move to the next point. It tells you about the acquisition of the wealth. It is the baseline of the definition, which tells you how to acquire the wealth for the nation. Now we will discuss the merits of the definition. See, it is the first definition which came into a scientific way. Previously we had the politico-economics, I have already told you. So actually it is not the way, and it was the first definition which has separated the politics with the economics. So it is the merit of the definition, and economics was separated with the politics. It is point 1 to be noted. Then second point was that the subject matter of the economics was also dealt, that in what subject it has to be taken into consideration. So wealth is the important part of the economics, which is here, and we have to study the economics in the sense of the wealth. So it is the second bottom line of the definition. Now we will discuss about the criticism of the definition which was propounded by the Adam Smith. So the first point of criticism is wealth interpreted in a narrow sense. Actually, wealth here means the economic wealth, but the natural wealth has been ignored over here. And health of the person is also a wealth, which we now understand after the corona. So wealth has been interpreted in a narrow sense. This is actually very right to criticize. Then second point says it is all about the worship of goddess of wealth. See, that's why we say the gospel of mammon. So what it is actually, we simply focus on the wealth and we are simply worshipping the goddess of the wealth, and how far the society will accept such definition, which creates the two sections in the society. One becomes the rich and other segment becomes the poor. So it is not acceptable to anyone. That's why this science got rejected and dismissed by the people, and people said, since it is creating the two sections in the society, two segments in the society, which is the rich and poor, so those who have studied the economics, they will get rich, they will prosper, they will acquire wealth. Like the western countries, they got wealth, they became rich, and the countries like us, they were India, like India, so we were being drained out, the wealth was drained out from our country, and Britain was getting prospered because of us. Then second one is telling about only the wealth, butter and bread and butter science. See, it tells you how to acquire bread and butter for you, how to go for your livelihood, but ignores the important segments of the society, important considerations of the society, which has to be there besides this. Then it is all about the concept of the productive and unproductive man. So beyond the definition, the human being is all about the welfare activity person. He is also the person who is having the emotions. He is doing so many things, and we have witnessed this in the corona time, that the rich people are making the welfare activities, they are giving the things to the poor people. So it is not right to say that the person is productive and unproductive. Man cannot be productive and unproductive. Beyond this, the man is having a lot of combinations. So this has to be considered by us. These were the criticism as well as the merits of the definition. Now we will move to the details of the welfare related definition, which was propounded by Alfred Marshall. As I have already told you, this definition was focused on the study of mankind in social action. So what actually the person do, whatever we have earned as a wealth, so whether we consume it, whether we produce the things, whether we make the investment through the banks, or whether we go for the stock market for our benefits, actually all those things are being channelized in the investment channel, and all the welfare activities are done. It is not only that the person will be making the welfare activities, only then the welfare activities will be done. Nowadays we can witness that all these welfare activities and employment generation, production, industrial outputs are channelized through the investment bankers and the government also. So it is not only to say that welfare will be done by the human being only, although it is done by the human being, but through the agencies also. So now the striking key points of the definition we will discuss here. First point says you the emphasis on the material welfare, not the wealth. So what it says, we are earning the welfare, we are doing the welfare activities through the material only. But I do not agree upon this point. I will tell you later on how I do not agree. But only thing which has been considered, that welfare activities will be done through the material welfare. So it is one of the striking point which has to be noted at this moment. Now move to the second one, which says the economics is a social science and studies human activities for human welfare. So all the human activities are here considered to be the human welfare activities. This is the main striking point of the definition. Then come to the next one. It is all about the causes of material welfare, how the welfare can be done through the material things, that has to be understood by this Marshall's definition. Now we will discuss about the merits also. See, what are the merits of the welfare definition? It says you that whatever the resources we have, we are making the welfare activities for the people. So it is the advanced one with the when it is compared with the Adam Smith definition. So what it was telling you, that it is the acquisition of the wealth, and the second level definition says you that how the welfare can be done through the wealth, acquired wealth. So now we will come to the criticism of the definition, which says only focuses on the material welfare, which I told you in previous slide, that I do not agree upon this, that it is only considering the welfare activities, since doctors are also giving their services, NGOs are also there, they are also providing their services, and public administration is there, banking services are there, investors are there. So they are also doing their welfare activities through the services. So it is not right to say that material welfare is only the thing which has to be done. We have to take into consideration the services also. So in the definition, services were typically ignored, which the first criticism tells you. Now move to the second point of the criticism, which suggests us it only deals with the production and consumption of the wealth. So no option of the investment, because investment is done for what? It is actually done for the profit motive. So it is all about the production and consumption and exchange of the goods with the people. Now move to the next point. It says everyone may not be doing and interested in the welfare activities. It is at the angle of the human part. Since if we talk about the individual human being, it may be right. This point may be right, but in a modern time, it is not so, because the welfare activities are done through so many welfare organizations which are in the country. So the education institutions are there, investors are there, the bankers are there, the government is there, and the government is said to be the welfare state. So welfare activities are done through these people also. Now move to the next one. It says the money is an instrument for the measurement of material welfare. It is all right. Yes, it only measures that what has been done till now through the material welfare, but satisfaction of the material welfare is typically ignored over here. Now we will move to the next set of the definition, which is the scarcity definition, and it was propounded by Robbins. Now we will discuss the Robbins definition, which was the scarcity definition, and it was propounded by Robbins. So what it says, that we have the resources, they are always limited, and our wants are unlimited. So the definition tells us that economics is the science which studies the human as a relationship between the ends and scarce means, and those scarce means are having the alternative uses. Now I will discuss the key features of the definition. First point is human wants are unlimited, which I have told you that humans are having unlimited wants and the resources are always limited. Now the second striking point is the resources are limited to satisfy unlimited wants. So we have to maintain our balance, we have to maintain the equation of wants and resources. Then as we know that the resources are having the alternative uses, we have the opportunity cost of the resource also. So we have to see where our resource can be utilized in the best possible way. So this is all about the third point of the Robbins definition.